EQ, the voice of Arena. I am Jen Jones.
And I'm VA, Van Arlen. I'm still trying to get used to that whole thing. Anyway, who do we have today? Jen Jones?
We have your hat.
You like my you like my hat?
Yeah.
That's a great hat. Yeah, I'm going to be changing it up, just so that you know.
Oh, okay. Well,
right?
you already have today, believe me.
Yeah, okay. All
and
right.
we have a very special guest with us today, Tony Defeo.
Hi guys, nice to meet you.
Hey
nice
Tony,
to be
it's
here.
good to hear your voice, man. I got to tell you. So you know what? We're going to start this out. Can I kick this into gear?
Go for it.
You know what? It's like I met this guy. I'm this dude that just interrupts conversations. I was walking through the Hotel Valley Ho, right?
Yeah.
I know Valley Ho sounds kind of weird too, but
It's
anyway,
your kind of spot.
It's my kind of
It's
spot.
Vegas in the 70s, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's
Really
the
is,
vibe.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's totally
absolutely.
VA.
If you haven't been there, folks, I gotta tell you, this hotel,
Synergy. That's
Yeah.
what we like to see.
it's a swanky hotel, and I'm sure there's a few Valley, there. But anyway, that particular day, I just heard these guys talking about sports and analytics and all this stuff, and I'm like, I got to go introduce myself to this guy, right?
Yeah.
And that was about a year and a half ago, right, Tony?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
really?
just about a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago.
We
and
shrunk the world quick, didn't we?
Do I tell you?
Yeah. You had no idea when you rolled up. It was like, hey, I heard you guys were talking about sports.
Oh yeah, no, they were talking about sports, all right, and he was here with some of his colleagues. They were one of his colleagues, and of course I asked him, what he did at that time, and I found out he was a senior associate athletic director.
Athletic director for Arizona State.
For Arizona
University.
State.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also had a background. You were in one of my favorite NFL teams at 49ers for a while.
I did. I started out in the NFL with the 49ers front office
Right.
For 7 years. So we were in San Francisco for quite a while. And
I'm just curious, where did you live in San Francisco when you were there?
well, the team is in Santa Clara.
Right.
So
Okay.
South Bay.
Right.
We still were playing at Candlestick at the time.
Right.
And we built Levi's Stadium while I was there,
Oh, wow.
back down in Santa Clara. So
I
we
remember
lived in
that.
the South Bay, just really close to the office, really close to the stadium.
I used to live in South Bay. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
I tell you, I missed those San Francisco and that South Bay. What's that? Mountain View, Sunnyvale,
Mountain
Los
View,
Altos,
yeah,
Los
Los
Altos,
Gatos,
Los Gatos.
yeah,
Oh,
it's a great place if you can afford to live there.
Oh, yeah, man.
I was about to say, because that is
It's pricey.
expensive.
Oh, yeah,
It
we
really
don't
is.
even go there.
Yeah.
So then you ended up in Michigan, right?
Yeah, I went with Coach Harbaugh when he got the job at Michigan. So I like to say he got me in the divorce, because anybody that saw or experienced the 49ers last couple of years that he was there, it was a tense place to work. It was a bit of a toxic culture, and just the vibe in the building. Even though we were wildly successful on the field, the vibe in the building was difficult to gear up for every morning walking in the door.
I can only imagine. He just seemed to be intense.
He's intense for sure, but it was organization wide, right?
Right.
It was just like this,
The cheetahs.
It was before the cheating. So yeah, I wasn't there for that. We can cover that, but yeah, that was San Francisco. There is no cheating allegations for our success there. Michigan, we can definitely get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just was personality clash after personality clash at the top, which
Yeah.
makes it difficult for everybody else that's rank and file trying to just do their jobs.
Oh, 100%.
I'm really glad that you're here, and I know that people are going to like, well, who is this guy? Is he an artist? Is he a musician? What? But you have been around, like, these kids that are just like, music is their life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But your background, I want to make sure everybody understands how, this guy's a heavyweight, folks. I'm just telling you. Your background is what? Tell me about just how you got to what we just talked about.
Well, a football player in my own right, to the point where it was time to hang him up, like it is for all of us at some point. Mine earlier than most, probably, or earlier than I would have wanted. Tried to stay involved. How do I, become part of this business if I'm not going to be on the field? So that was really kind of an early, goal for me. I went to law school at DePaul in Chicago and lived in Chicago for a number of years. Loved Chicago. And I really chose that school not knowing that I was going to fall in love with the city.
Yeah.
Because they had a sports law specialty at the time.
Right.
I don't want to date myself, but yeah, there's only 3 or 4 schools in the country at the time that had any kind of sports law emphasis, and so that's why I chose that, because I didn't want to necessarily practice law. I wanted to work in sports. I wanted to have the magnitude of whatever I could to make myself stand out to where I could, have opportunities and really realize some of hopefully what my potential could be.
Was there a team that you really wanted to? Was there like a goal of a team that you wanted to work for at that time?
I would say I'm from Kansas City originally, born and bred, and so even though they weren't what they are now, not in a long ways, they were good. I had mentors that were with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
And so I did, have folks that really were influential in my, career decisions and some of my vision for the future. So I would have said the Chiefs at that point. I think going to Chicago really opened my eyes to the world.
Yep.
I had, graduated from the University of Kansas, go Jayhawks, and really lived abroad in Italy for a while.
Wow.
And I just think at that point I was not the Midwest, small town guys. My eyes had been widened, and I had really come to appreciate what other parts of the world had to offer. And so I think once I was done with law school, the Chiefs really weren't necessarily what I thought they might be beforehand as a goal, right? And so when the opportunity came up with the 49ers, I jumped at it.
So you were in Italy for how long?
I did a semester and a summer. So I have family there. My grandmother actually went with me to go stay with her brother, which she did throughout my entire life. I don't think she ever was at a birthday of mine. My birthday's in October, and that's some of the best time to be in Italy. She was always in Italy in October.
Wow. What part were you in?
I lived in Florence.
Florence, wow.
So I studied in Florence, lived in Florence. My great uncle, their estate is in Colavecchio. It's about an hour north of Rome. So if I ever needed home cooking or money was usually the case, I could jump a train and go get some home cooking.
Have you been back?
I haven't. No. It's one of my great regrets.
You
not
gotta
have been back.
Well, you got to get back there.
When you go and you stay for as long as that, right? You start to feel less like the American visitor and tourist, and more like, man, these Americans, come on, bro, there's a line here, there's a way we buy bread, there's the different things, because you start to really
understand
inundate
the
culture, and once it accepts you as well, that's a good feeling.
That's interesting that you say that, because I wasn't born and bred in Kansas City, but I did grow up there, right? And you and I have talked about this, and the Chiefs, I got to tell you, I go back to, I want to date myself, the Lenny Dawson days, right? And that was way back when, he was, and since then, the gap was so huge until now, right?
Yeah, it was a lifetime before they, became what they are now and started to enjoy that success with the organization that they built currently, which is amazing.
Another association is my brother went to KU also. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, type of. It's amazing how this world works, right?
You're right.
Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, before your interview, I just called my brother, because I actually did need some money, and he's like, "I got you, bro." You know what I mean? It's like those Kansas guys. You know how it goes.
That's right.
But I will say this about. I'm going to transition to music here. One of the things that you don't know that happened to me, and that I think you'll understand this. It had been so long since Kansas City won anything, right? The Chiefs, right? And Kansas City Chiefs played the San Francisco 49ers. Remember that Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
It's I will never forget that the rest of my life. That game changed my life for the rest. I've never broken a bone in my entire. You didn't know that either.
What the hell were you doing?
What did you do? Punch a wall?
I was so happy. I was so. I literally. I was so happy. It was the happiest day of my life.
Right.
My friends all got. They wanted to watch the game with me, so we rented we got the table service. You know that thing. The girls come up and they serve you.
We know what table service is.
The bottle
so
service.
we got. Bottles.
There you
go.
go.
It was a minimum. So there's 8 people.
Completely shocked by this.
The table could hold about 25 people, and there's 8 of us.
Yeah.
But you had a minimum of X, how many thousands of dollars, right?
No doubt.
So you know what? I always don't want to leave anything left.
Yeah.
My parents always said, if it's there, you gotta take it. You gotta
Finish
drink
the
it,
bottle.
right? Finish the bottle, right?
Yeah.
Clean your plate.
So, but they won the game. Best game I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. Not like this last year, but the best at that time.
Right.
And they wanted to go party, and I'm like, I'm so wasted. I just need to get home. I want to watch. I want to sit on this couch and watch the rest of the replays, right?
It, yeah.
Well, didn't make it. I got on a scooter, went 150 feet, and crashed into a rock.
Like a motorized scooter?
A motorized, and I actually showed. I showed
have footage
Chelsea.
of this?
I showed Chelsea, our director tonight, right?
Yeah.
I showed Chelsea the rock last night, didn't I? Tell Chelsea. We walked by. I said, "That is the rock that changed my life." I smashed into.
Jumped up out at me.
I mean, literally.
Yeah, out of nowhere this rock came.
Yeah.
This rock had to be moving. It
was like on a bank.
I think it was an asteroid.
Totally out the
Aiming for
way.
that rock, apparently.
So I went straight into the rock. Fractured my face.
Ooh.
Broke my nose. Shattered my shoulder.
Now we feel bad for laughing.
God damn it.
But you can laugh about it. And I'm not gonna. I'll tell you this. And I was out, and some young man who will probably watch this podcast and say, "You never paid me. You owe me." Because I tried to find him. I actually tried to find him. I did. But he hit the scooter.
Yeah.
And called 911.
Oh, okay.
And I woke up to 6 paramedics
Wow.
and a police officer.
Oh.
And
Well, so you're a good Samaritan, dude.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to drink that. That guy was like, he said, I mean, literally, I was out cold. Blood was, and then they're like, they look at me and they're like, and then like, I look around and I'm like, can I make a call? And I'm just gonna leave it at that. At that particular time, somebody just came and said, he's going with me. That's it. And took me right out. So we're just going to not say who that was or what happened.
Okay.
But that was my memory of that Super Bowl. I did get to watch, but my face was...
I mean, you paid the price.
I know.
I'm actually a little shocked
Crazy.
you have any memory of that.
Yeah, exactly. After that, it gets a little shaky.
It gets,
Between the booze and the hard
Apparently
head,
psychedelics,
trauma
too.
to your skull.
No, so I love the Chiefs is what I'm trying to say, but I've learned I was banned from scooters. I think Bird. I can't even get on my app
they're
anymore.
done.
They're
They're
done.
done with you.
I'm done. But I want to get back to
Don't
music.
drink and scooch, everybody. Do not drink and scooch.
Those
She's
famous
crazy.
bag. So, what is the thing about music? You know, when you see you've been working with athletes at every level for the last, decade, right? What is it about music, and what do you think that whole connection is that kind of it just ties together?
Yeah. I think music and sports kind of share a kindred vibe. I think there's a way that sports affects us in a powerfully emotional way, almost in a romantic way, right? Like how we also identify and connect with our schools when we go to school someplace. A lot of times maybe we romanticize about our time there, but it also creates this connection. I think music's the same thing. Music to me is memories. It's a way that we connect with our past as well, is making new memories. Where you were when you heard a song, or how a song makes you feel, is also similar to when you went to a game and when the Chiefs won and how that made you feel. I think there's an exact, directional connective tissue that really serves both of those things. And I believe that, the unconditional, irrational, sometimes irrational love we have for our teams or sports is the exact same way that I think as humans we interact with music.
100%. You're seeing a lot more of like that entertainment embedded in sports games too. Often there is, obviously they have their marching bands, the schools marching bands, but you'll see DJs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's now almost like the standard.
Robert will probably tell you that that's one of my everlasting frustrations with ASU, because they have a fifth deck that faces, it's above the Tillman statue, it faces the stadium. Yeah. And man, I had big plans for that. I wanted DJs. I wanted to make that the Waste Management open. Yeah. I had all kinds of people in to say, okay, we're going to blow this out, and this is a party place and a party deck that will rival anything in sports. And we can generate revenue throughout the year because we're also the bachelorette and bachelor party capital.
100%.
Us in Nashville,
100%.
right? Like, wouldn't you, a cool venue to be able to have a gig like that, have live music, have a party, and have the entire stadium to yourself. I would pay for that, and I think other people would too.
They
But
would totally.
I got shouted down, and
Wow.
that's not what that's used for. So, but again, like it's that opportunity, it's that ability to create memories and experiences that music is just massively powerful.
100%. I love that.
And Jen, I know that you have you've worked with a lot of athletes too, maybe in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah.
But you know.
In and outside of stadiums. Oh, come on now. Wow, I see what you're saying.
Oh, that took a while.
Okay. No, honestly, like I do a lot of private parties
Yeah.
for a lot of the athletes too, and yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It does go hand in hand. I mean, it's entertainment, as you said. It's memories. I always say it's an emotion.
Yeah.
You know, so it is an important piece to everybody who sits in their car and doesn't listen to music.
Right.
You know, who
Absolutely.
young kids in college, they want to go out, they want to party. What
Right.
are they listening to? You know, so
And we're talking about fandom as well, and I think there's also the other side of the pillow is that the athletes and the artists have a
Right.
very kindred process, and I think the world treats them very similarly because you can be the most disciplined, dedicated musician, wildly talented in the world, and if you don't get opportunity, and that opportunity doesn't meet the moment, or you don't meet the moment in that opportunity, that opportunity is fleeting. And that's the exact same thing that we have with athletes.
Right,
You
right.
can have put all the work in the world in, and you
Yeah.
can be the fastest guy or girl or the best at your position. But if that opportunity doesn't meet you don't meet the moment, and that opportunity may or may not ever come for maybe reasons that you have no control over. Those are things that are very similar in both sports and music.
it's so funny that you say that because it is so important right now for every artist to tap in with athletes. And you often see
Yeah.
the athlete and the rapper or the singer be best friends. You've, you know, Kevin Durant and Drake. You've
Right.
got Debo and Little Baby, James Harden, Little Baby. You know, you see
Totally.
them all like commingling, and it's so important for that partnership almost outside of the friendship. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like aligning brands exactly to what you're doing.
And
So
I think that's a couple of things there. I think it's, as athletes, you know, we want to be musicians and actors and
Right.
because of that same you know, high performing ability that and with the fan and the existence and experience that you have with fans in a, you know, kind of a symbiotic way. But then also it's like, how many people can really understand how professionally and massively you know, successful Kevin Durant or Drake are. Right,
Yeah.
they're peers, even though they're not in the
Right.
same
Yeah.
the same vertical.
Right.
There's only so many people on the planet that can understand, you know, some of the things that those folks go through. That might be why, you know, our Kansas City couple of the century, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah.
even though he's maybe not at that level of stardom, but there is a recognition, I think, that someone can
Yeah.
contextualize your life that way that a normal person off the street that wouldn't be able to.
It's
Well, they're
good- yeah.
influential,
Yes.
big time. Athletes are so influential. You're actually seeing another element of entertainment, and it's more fashion. Like the culture from the music scene is fashion, and these athletes, especially starting in the university, where they're really starting to build their brand, their
Right.
identity, their following. Like it really does start there. But yeah, it all goes kind of hand in hand. You're seeing all these other brands outside of sports kind of come full circle and using these athletes to kind of leverage their exposure.
Absolutely. I think it's a platforming process, right? You have a platform, and how you're going to use that platform is really the question. How
Yeah.
you're going to monetize that platform for a lot of folks.
Right, right.
How maybe you're going to use that platform for something altruistic. Like there's lots of ways and directional ways, and I don't think any of them are mutually exclusive. But you know, if you get that platform, you kind of have to define what you want to do with it. And I think that the challenge is beset to musicians and athletes and actors, all, you know, in a very specific way.
100%.
You said something earlier. You said that, you know, music brings back memories. I'm going to bring this to a personal level with you. What is the thing when that song or that period or that, you know, you heard something, you said, that is going to be my song for something? How would you finish that?
I don't know that I've got one. I've just got songs that make me feel a certain way that I know if like I'm trying to feel that way, I'll go there. A child of the '90s, we've talked about some of the R&B and the grunge and just this wild mixture of things that were previously kind of unheard of.
Right.
But yeah, like I have a great appreciation for all different types of music, and
Yes, you
just
do.
always try and like keep an open mind to what we're listening to. Like
Right.
when we went to that show the other night, I was like, these cats are on fire,
They were
and I'm not.
freaking
Despite
amazing.
your hat, that
Hey,
that
that's why I wear the hat.
a 10-gallon and a fedora had a child. That's I was
great.
just like, I'm there, man. I was like, I couldn't believe how fired up I was, and
To
I'd
see-
never heard of those guys before.
Yeah.
And to
I
see
love
what
that.
they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it
They
crossed.
brought it.
I mean,
It was
they
energy.
brought it. They called the Bros Fresh.
Bros Fresh.
Okay.
And they
Shout
just,
out Austin, Texas.
And I gotta tell you, they laid it. I mean, really, I'm sitting there going like, three brothers, and I was probably number 4 in that crowd, and you were 4.5. By
That
the
might
way,
be right.
yeah. I mean, seriously.
4.5 is crazy.
I mean, literally, we probably. But it was just like in their hands.
Yeah.
That entire crowd.
Yep.
I mean, with
Crowd
cowboy
control.
hats,
Love it.
with the boots, got dressed, took their time, girls made
Yeah.
sure they had the right plaid shirts on, tied the right way,
Yeah.
and came down, and whatever had them line dancing to a song. It was, oh, can we talk for a minute, girl? I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did a country-fied version.
Tevin
of that.
Campbell.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tevin Campbell.
No, am I-
No, they absolutely
Yeah.
killed it.
And
it
I'm sitting there
was-
going like, Tony, are we in a dream right now?
Yeah.
It's like, and everybody in those.
And we were there to see the headliners.
Yeah.
And when the headliners came on, we went to go find those guys backstage to be like,
Yeah.
phenomenal cats.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this
That's
was cool,
awesome.
and we
I've always
really
said
enjoyed it.
R&B and country music, and I'll probably get like so much backlash for this, but R&B and country music to me lyrically is the same. It's just a different beat.
It's just a different
It's,
beat.
yeah.
And to that point, we're kind of
Storytelling.
chatting.
It's
Yeah,
storytelling,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Some
And
of
as you
it's a truck and a dog, and some of it's something different. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely storytelling.
What is that? No.
I don't know. What's the rhymes with which? No.
So you said you're a child of the '90s. So is like R&B kind of your go-to genre of music
No,
personally?
I probably sway a little harder than that. It's I'm a big Pearl Jam guy.
Oh, no
I
way.
just probably I think it was my 43rd show. I saw them, and it's been like a long time since I had seen them. So, but I had meetings in Nashville in May,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw them in Nashville, and they still brought it. They
I
they
love
brought
it.
Peter Frampton out.
Wow,
And
that's crazy.
that's before my time, but I have an appreciation for his musical genius as well. And it was weird though, and this is music too, right? It's like they were helping this guy, elderly dude at this point. I don't know how old he is, but he was not easy walking for
Right,
sure. And they sat him down, but as soon as they put that axe in his hand, dude just like
Went crazy.
Lit up.
he was 18 years old and just lit it up.
That's
And it was kind of a cool, confirmation of, the music kind of doesn't care.
Yeah.
And it's beyond how old we are, where we come from, all these other things that seem to define us as a society. That's another thing I love about music.
Yeah. You're a festival guy? Do you like going to festivals?
Yeah, I mean, living in Chicago,
Yeah.
Palooza was a big thing.
Yes.
Jazz Fest, New Orleans, one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
One of my great friends still lives there, so that's always a great one. I haven't been to Ohana Fest
Okay.
in San Diego, but I definitely want to do that. Yeah, I mean, I just think like sometimes it's a dive bar, sometimes it's the Sphere in Vegas, but like
Yeah.
if you can find a different context to kind of receive that music, then it just creates more context for your enjoyment of it, I think.
100%.
And that's really why we, Jen and I came together and just said, hey, we've got to get the opportunity. We have the opportunity to
Yeah.
really get more exposure, to artists, to make those connections that
Right.
we just talked about, right? And that's really kind of where you come into play, because about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, I gave, I got my first call from Tony Defeo. I mean, he called me. I'm usually calling him, but he called
That's
me.
some bullshit.
I'm like, I look at my phone. I'm like, nah. I'm usually,
Yeah.
you call Tony. It's like, I already know it's gonna be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, right? It's like this guy is so busy. He is everywhere because he really kind of downplayed his background a little bit. I kind of know a little bit more about things that he's involved in, right? And I'm like, so I don't, I give the guy some space, right?
Yeah.
But one day, about 6 weeks ago, my phone rang,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no way. And I don't even know if I got to it, but I called him right back, and he answered. He goes, "What's up?" And he started, he started talking about things that he's going to do, and all this stuff, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, we've got this program, we got this app, we're going to do this marketing thing, we're going to do this, that. And lo and behold, he had no idea what I was also transitioning into. And I go like, "Oh, we got this platform, and we got this, and we got that." And he comes back and says, "Well, how would you like to have content that we could deliver to the platform, AmpEQ platform?" And I'm like, absolutely. Tell us, so Jen can hear this and the audience can hear this, if you can, as much as you can release. Because,
Sure. Yeah. Well, the platform's called Loud and Clear, just because my background and experience in intercollegiate athletics, that has not always been the case. I think there's been some lip service around what we're about, and sometimes in life that's hard, right? It's trying to define what you're about is one process. Then having the courage or the tenacity to really like say what you're about and vocalize it and verbalize it, so you're kind of like on the hook for it, right? And almost creating accountability for yourself. And then the hardest part is being about what you say you're about. And I just haven't seen it in college sports at a high level. The fidelity of what we say versus what the outcome is for our students doesn't always match up. And if I have learned anything, and if I have a platform to make any type of headway in that space, that's what I wanted to do. So that's really kind of the impetus that kind of started taking us down this journey, and say, how do we do the things and represent kind of the entities and groups of people that get left out when we reorganize and realign our conferences. And now all of a sudden we don't play the LA schools anymore, and we don't play Stanford anymore, and all the things.
Right.
And part of that was I was the executive director of our Big 12 transition at ASU. And so I also felt like, part of the dismantling process, right? And so it was what had to be done, and I think it was the right decision at the time, to be sure. But at the same time, like, there was years and decades of tradition that were going away by the actions that we were taking.
Right.
And again, I don't think it served the athletes. So what we've built at Loud and Clear is a platform where we want to create content and storytelling similar to what Robert started to tell me about AmpEQ, that the student athletes, all student athletes, can avail themselves of. Again, they have to bring it as well. Like, this is a capitalist society, and we're not just here to hand out checks for everybody. But if you have a great story to tell, and you're an interesting person, and you want to be involved, and you want to create content, how do we generate true revenue? Because what I had told Robert is that we hear name, image, and likeness, and the NIL and all the things. Well, I'm here to tell you that NIL is been hijacked for their own purposes by the NCAA, because we're not paying our football players for their name, image, and likeness in a real way. We're paying them to play football.
Right.
There, my backup left guard that's making $75,000 in an NIL deal from the Ford dealership, somewhere in Texas. If I'm at a school in Texas, he's not gonna sell me. He's not gonna sell any trucks, or the quarterback's not gonna sell $4 million worth of trucks.
Yeah.
But if that alumni is the owner of the Ford dealership, and we need him to come play football for us, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't get paid $50 million a year by the Kansas City Chiefs in an NIL deal. Right. That's his salary to play football. So not to go too far down the rabbit hole,
Right.
what we don't see is our female athletes, our Olympic sports, our non-revenue sports have opportunities for those student athletes to make true revenue generation for themselves on an actual for their name, image, and likeness. And,
Right, right.
And creating content is that and provides that opportunity.
Yeah.
So what Loud and Clear does is it pairs brands that have probably hit their head on the ceiling for what types of ROI that they get for putting a flag in the stadium or painting the field with their name on it or whatever. That's all great, but that's traditional.
Right.
Right.
And it's terrestrial, and it's really kind of
Outdated.
that legacy piece that
Yeah.
is, you can still do it, but
Yeah.
you know
It's
what you're
old.
getting.
It's-
There's
yeah,
no upside
there's
to
no-
it.
yeah.
So what we want to do and have built is to bring brands together to also sponsor the content, but not have to sponsor the athlete. Because where the breakdown is if somebody doesn't have any value in their NIL rights, you're not an influencer, but you're a fantastic lacrosse player that has overcome an eating disorder.
Right.
We want to tell that
Yeah.
story, and we want to make sure you're compensated and you own part of that story, and that that you can have that to help build your brand as well as generate revenue. And if there's a sponsor out there that wants to really sponsor the story and not the athlete, then now we have something. Now
Right.
we have the
Yeah.
ability for them to put money into this and get something out of it, and especially connect with fans that love that school, that
Right.
want to support those student athletes,
Right.
without having to say, okay, well, we can't pay her, we can't give her a traditional sponsorship or endorsement deal,
Right.
because she only has 5,000 followers on legacy apps
Yeah, it's
Right.
ridiculous.
and socials, and we just think that's not cool, and
Yeah.
there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're
And I think
bringing.
people like hearing that story too. It's
They do,
authentic.
they do.
It's not just the same trash that's been kind of thrown in your face and shoved down your throat. Like, we hear it all the time, And then, as you said, if someone actually has a cool story, like, I personally like to hear about that.
Right.
I want to watch that.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it. I want to follow that person. That's cool to me.
No doubt. And
You
if you find a connection with that person because of their story, similar to if you find a connection with a band or an artist because of their music,
Right, right.
you're gonna follow them. What are they
Yeah.
gonna do next? So if we
Yeah.
do, some more IRL or just some streaming content with that same student athlete now in an experiential way,
Right.
we're just kind of telling the story of their lives, not necessarily a story of a point in time.
Right, right.
And similar to music, both those things work.
Yeah.
And so that's really, I think, when schools talk about building a brand, and some of them do a really good job of it. I'm not painting a wide brush at all. And we want to work with schools.
Right.
We want to work
Yeah.
with schools that really want to help their student athletes, and then by proxy, enhance the value of their brands,
Yeah.
and make kids want to come to their schools.
And
That's
not
some of the
get to-
content that we want to shoot. We have a show called Maybe, and it's about recruiting.
Right.
So if it's here, it's maybe Tempe, maybe Tucson,
Right.
And we follow high school kids as they come on recruiting trips, and they kind of pine over this massive transition decision that they come to in their lives, that everybody kind of comes to that wants to go to college or has that opportunity. And what are their what are they basing those decisions on? It's when they do decide about a school, it's almost a love letter to that school.
Absolutely.
And
It's
so,
commitment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's really like, what are the great things that made me want to go to this school? And then hopefully we can follow those same people in their trajectory and their experience at that school, because now we're bought in. Now we're invested of why that guy or girl decided to go to that university, and we want to know what happens.
Yeah.
And
So it's basically, you're talking about stories. I mean, like today the legacy model is more, and I call it the social media model, is more prosaic. It's more like, hey, I see somebody, I see their followers, but there's no depth there. It's just what, and maybe I see you change this and whatever, and maybe some new makeup, maybe a new outfit, maybe this, that, and the other, but there's no meaning. I don't know who you are, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, if I'm going to share that type of information, being able to have, some guidance that can help share that in a safe place. Then you take that into what I call meaningful, mindful, meaningful, and transformational, right?
Right.
And transformational is really, I think our platform, and that's what we want to do with content. And so in working with Loud and Clear, which will be our sports division of AmpEQ, and working with Loud and Clear, that's important because we're all in that same alignment. How do we get to transformate? We don't have to do anything the way that it was done before. We're bringing on soon to you're going to hear about this audiobooks, right? Why do I do it the way it's been done? I don't have to.
Yeah.
I can have an author tell a story in a different way on an audiobook that has never been done before.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's what I believe content, and that's really what we're talking about is, and I think right now, and I don't want to go anywhere near this, but I think delivering content and being able to attract people into a different medium, that is not just a social something, a social suckhole is what I call it, right?
Yeah.
That goes nowhere based on, whatever somebody is able to sell, right?
Yeah.
I think that could be, quite a change, just as it changes. We've been talking about it's a universal language. Athletes have been using it. Entertainers, love delivering it. But now we have a platform where everybody can actually win from it, including, the people that are creating it and the people that are listening to it.
No, I think that's exactly right. That's what we talked about as we were building the infrastructure of Loud and Clear. Then you and I connected and had that same conversation of like, and listen, at this point in our society, like a lot of the stuff that we see on Legacy Social, if you're selling something, it's discounted immediately.
Right.
Because I know that this is self-serving for you immediately, and if I don't have a real connection with who you are as a person or why I'm following you,
Right.
The impetus to and the catalyst for me to go buy that product or engage with that service is highly discounted. And I don't know if brands have felt that quite yet, but I think they will, and I think they'll find an ROI of a different color that is rooted in real stories and real connection. And I think that's what we're all about.
I think that's what we're all about, and I think you're right. I think brands are going to maybe now be able to look, it's like through a lens, get different perspective, right? And create a new narrative, right? And that narrative can be something different than you have as a marketing executive that's, trying to figure it out. Yes, you have better data. I get better data. But do you have, data that's based on, it's like, I think about like this like farming, I grew up in Kansas and we had a lot of, my grandfather was one of those people that's like, I'm going to plant something and it's going to grow, right? The meaning for that is like, and then we're going to bring it to our table and we're going to eat it, right? But that whole process of engagement of even me as a little kid going out to, the garden and putting my hands in the, that's really what we're talking about here, getting back down to
that
those.
food tastes better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I like, and think about that
It's
too.
actual
Like,
food.
right? I mean, Miller Lite isn't one of our sponsors yet, but Garage Beer might. But my point is like after a hard day's work, and that beer tastes better, that drink tastes better. Like there's connection to that what you did for that. The
Right.
same as if you grow something yourself,
Absolutely.
or if you feel engaged in somebody's life through their stories because it's authentic. And that's really what I know you guys are about, and that's what we're all the way about, which is the people that drive the content at each campus are of that campus. We want the people that have that connection to that campus, because that's the only way we can be authentic. I can't tell people where to go, and the memory, excuse me, the memory that a tailgate or that a bar when I was here at ASU and went to school, because I didn't, know. But if you want to talk about going into a basketball game at the University of Kansas at Fog Allen Fieldhouse, I'll get goosebumps right now, or I'll give you goosebumps right now.
Exactly,
One of the two.
exactly.
And so, like, that piece, that connection has to be authentic.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we're becoming a discerning enough consumer society that we know when it's not.
I was literally about to say that. I feel like in today's, it's just even on social media, you can kind of sniff out, all right, that's totally staged, or what's really authentic. Like it definitely, it will always be longevity, in my opinion, authentic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we value that almost above everything else, because if it doesn't feel real, if it's not real, if it's not somebody that has some connection, and it's just scripted Fugazi, that's not our platform.
And everyone likes a good story too.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
rooting for the underdog kind of thing.
And
you
it
know?
doesn't always have to be like, straight and narrow. Like people struggle, and we like those stories too.
Yeah.
Because we relate to those, because we all struggle.
Exactly.
And so, there's a lot of stuff that we're looking at doing and will do that's all about the struggle and all about like tough things. And some stories won't resonate with everybody, but the people that do, they'll be very, very connected to those things. So.
Well, I got to say this. I definitely am grateful that, I took that opportunity to kind of button on a conversation that I heard about these, guys and their analytics and their, and their roles in the collegiate space and introducing myself. But I never, it's a journey. Never know it's going to end up here.
We're both from Kansas City.
Yeah,
I think we got that out in the first 2 minutes somehow.
We're both from Kansas City. It's like we just kept going. It's like it was like we kept going. We might have been related. You know what I mean? I'm sure I got some descendants in Italy somewhere. You never know.
You totally look Italian.
And then have a beer at a concert. I mean, just that whole experience, its engagement. I was so excited. When we met your buddy Luke, which I used to listen to on the radio when I lived in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Right?
More small.
It's
stuff,
like
yeah.
I'm like,
funny.
dude, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like he's sitting across the table. I'm like, this cannot be happening right now. And next thing you know, we go to this concert, and Luke is just, I'm like, it felt like, wow. This is what life is all about, right?
Yeah.
But and we will all get those experiences that we'll be able to share with even some of the listeners, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what we really want to do. Those artists that really want to connect to their listeners, take control of their journey, and have the listeners to be a part of that journey. I think that ecosystem is one that will be transformational, disruptive, and really begin to build a fair playing scenario for the entire industry.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. And I think to be able to amplify vibe is I know what you guys are about, is what we're about. And I think that is beneficial to, artists, student athletes, brands. At some point, like if we're somewhere and we go to a show and we love these guys that were just blew our doors off with this energy that was just manufactured enough energy for the entire building,
right?
And it was palpable,
right?
We want people to know about that, and you should go check those guys out. And if you have other people that you saw that blew your doors off, like share the wealth, because the more human interaction and connection that we can all like find and create, the better at this point. Because otherwise, we're just a bunch of AI folks waiting for somebody else to tell us what
I
to
don't
do.
think I don't think I'm gonna go to a concert with a bunch of robots.
We might be.
We may not see that. Yeah, everybody else might see that.
We may be already.
Yeah.
Well, I have to
Jen's
say,
a big Matrix fan.
she fits that role, that's for sure. Well, hey Jen, you want to wrap this up?
We are AMP EQ, the voice of Arena. I am Jen Jones.
I am VA.
And catch us on arena.com.
Thank you, Tony Defeo, for joining us tonight. And definitely we look forward to you having your own channel. Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. No, we can't wait, and we want to bring sports the same vibe and the same authenticity that AMPQ is all about. So fired up, and let's do this.
Tony, tell where the people can follow you in this journey of yours.
Well, we've got loudandclearsports.com, Loud and Clear Tempe, Loud and Clear Premiere on Twitch and YouTube, and the content will start flowing at a very high rate very soon as we jump into this journey. So we'll be watching and appreciate everybody that comes to the content, because we'll bring it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on Arena.
Thank you.